welcome everybody who's watching the show. I'm joined with my brother, Gabriel.
Yeah, it's first time actually being on a podcast. I'm pretty pumped.
Oh, yeah. So it is kind of
Excited
fun
about it.
hearing your voice in the radio sound. So it's kind of fun.
I got to say, you have a legitimate setup.
Thanks,
This is
man.
awesome.
Thanks.
Good job.
So before we started, I asked Gabe to come up with about 3 or just a couple of different things that he wants to talk about, things that he thinks are important, and then a couple of things that he is just curious about and wants to sort of maybe flush out with another mind, and that's why I'm here. And to let everyone know, again, the name of the podcast and what it means. As you saw when you clicked on the video, it said Pages of Stone. So I'm going to give a little bit of a history on why I named it that. So in my mind, everyone's life, everybody, they carve their history written in stone because you can't change the past. So whatever you do, it is in essence written in stone, carved in stone. And the story of someone's life is a spectacular tapestry, a book of, or a library of books of stone. And I like to get different people's stories on this podcast, stories of their life and everything they tell me, the knowledge that they can give me. And so I can't get your whole story in a short podcast. So this isn't a book of stone. This is a page of stone that you are giving me. So welcome to Pages of Stone with Gabriel Short.
Well, I certainly hope you get the right page.
Well, I hope so too. I mean, even if you give me the wrong one, then it's still a page of stone out of your book.
Oh, boy.
All right. So
All right.
why don't you give us a little bit of a history of yourself? Fun fact, Gabe actually just got done sort of traveling all the United States, hitting some pretty good hot spots, took some sweet videos. And
Yeah, man. That
so
was
let's talk
definitely a
about
trip.
that real quick.
It was a trip.
Did you went by all by yourself, right?
Yeah. No, it was just me.
Kind of
It just-
sketchy.
It adds an element of fun and also like,
Danger.
yeah, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service and you're hiking just way in the middle of Utah.
So talk like what? Okay, so at the beginning you're like, screw it, let's do this, and then where you started, and then where you ended up. So like the whole kind of journey.
Well, first of all, I started off just ended a 7-year relationship and
rough.
decided I need to go on a journey. I don't know, call it soul searching, call it whatever you want. It was really just actually me probably just being immature and running away for a bit.
Man,
some people say it's good. That I actually think it was great for me. I found a lot of truths and some stuff out, but I just hit the road. I didn't really pack a bunch of stuff up. Hit the road, and I was going to go through Yellowstone National Park and just kind of stop at different spots. I wanted to see Mount Rushmore, and then I had a bunch of
so
friends.
you started sort of up north.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on the northern side, and then on the way back, I just hit the lower.
Okay.
Came back that way.
Okay. Nice. What places did you all hit? So you hit Yellowstone.
So I started obviously in Seattle,
Okay.
and I went all the way to South Carolina.
Jeez. First.
Well, no, but I mean, so that's the furthest.
Oh. Okay.
I went to
okay.
Charleston, South Carolina, which
Okay.
is like on the coast, and then came all the way back. So that's
Okay.
all in all, I hit 22 states.
Nice.
Yeah, so throughout the.
So let's talk
throughout the
about the
trip.
journeys in each place you stopped at.
Oh boy, that.
Well, I mean,
all right. So the major points.
The major points.
The major points.
Yeah,
I'd say Yellowstone National Park was better than I thought it was going to be. To be
Okay.
honest, I drove through. Actually, got there at night. Drove and I wanted to get to to the Old Faithful geyser. I was like, ooh, I want to go see it. So I went there.
Was it all as cracked up to be?
Yes and no. That's what everybody wants to know. Yes and no.
Yeah.
The problem with Old Faithful, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's anticlimactic. So it's grandiose. It's amazing. You wait for it, but there's no massive explosion. It's not like a volcano erupting and the earth shakes. But it is impressive. I'm glad I went, and I'd go back again if I had a hot date. It'd be a fun trip.
Cool.
Went through there, and then just driving through Yellowstone National Park. So I'm a bit of a speed junkie. I love to drive fast, and Yellowstone was one of those places that made me slow down. Just the speed limit's
that.
like, I don't know.
Should write that in a book somewhere. Just a quote. Yellowstone. Oh, no. Let's change that. It was something like, I move my life very fast, and I live my life pedal to the metal. But Yellowstone, that made me slow down.
Maybe not even say Yellowstone, but it's like the scenery. So the scenery made me slow down.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, right on.
Yeah. But I don't know. The speed limit in some areas is like 45 miles an hour or wherever it is. But, dude, I caught myself going under the speed limit, just like 35, 30, just cruising along just because I was like, this is actually a beautiful place. I was actually kind of blown away. I didn't think it was going to be all that much.
You got to get yourself a motorcycle.
I agree. Like an enduro, something, a tour bike.
Just a cruiser, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, actually, well, I mean, if you want to do what you
I want to get an enduro.
Whatchamacallit? An enduro. Yeah. I knew a guy that had one of those, and it was sick. It's like one of the newer ones.
Yeah, like aluminum boxes and stuff on the side, built up.
Yep.
You go just about anywhere. You can do a little off-road. You can just freeway cruise.
Cool. It's like a dirt bike, but
it's a little more comfortable
fancy.
And a lot faster on the road. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Went through Yellowstone and almost ran into a bunch of herds of buffalo, which is actually pretty cool. In the middle of the night, driving. I don't know. I drive to 4 o'clock in the morning. Just
Jesus. I mean, why not, right?
Why not, right? You're just driving and see a spot, and okay, well, we got to get to the next one. Okay, let's just go. So I drive, and then in the middle of the night, Yellowstone is the creepiest place ever because there's some places when the stars and the moon's not out, it is pitch black, and you can't see a thing except for what's in front of you in your headlights. And then it breaks away. There's no trees, and then you can kind of see the plateau and the plains break out, and so you can kind of see a little bit. And then you see this tree forest right in front of you, and then you're driving, and as soon as you hit the tree tunnel, whatever you want to call it, it's black. It's pitch black. It like sucks the light out of your headlights. I had pretty good headlights, and they're just dim.
Interesting.
So, anyway, ran up a bunch of wildlife. It was amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Went through Yellowstone, and then hit the road. By the way, I did not know this, but there's a couple of little towns, like little, I guess, villages throughout Yellowstone National Park.
Okay.
I assumed Yellowstone National Park was just going to be like wilderness, but it's not. There's actually a couple of different villages and stuff, and like places you can stop, gift shops.
Right.
Throughout there. Another funny story. So I get to Yellowstone National Park, and I'm like, I should probably get some gas because I didn't know if there's going to be gas stations or anything throughout there. It's like 100 miles or something, the trip I was going to take, weaving through there. I should probably get some gas. So the gas station before Yellowstone, stop, get out, knock my phone out of the car, cracked my camera.
Oh, no.
And that's the only camera I brought.
Oh, no. Dang it.
So and this is before I get into Yellowstone. How epic.
Jeez.
Or anti-epic.
Ah.
Dude, miserable.
Of
so
course.
all of my pictures are like cracked screen pictures.
I was wondering, you were showing me some pictures, and I was wondering,
terrible.
What's up with these lines?
Terrible. Terrible, man. They're beautiful pictures. And then you got this like shattered screen look.
Jeez, that sucks.
Yeah. So the very first thing I did as soon as I got into the next town is I went straight to the store and bought a GoPro.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm like, I need a camera.
It's a good thing you got that, though. I mean, the GoPro did. I mean, you showed me some pictures earlier.
Oh, it actually
some
takes fantastic
sick videos. Oh my God.
The gyro inside that camera is mind-blowing.
It is ridiculous. You're going over bumps, all this stuff. You're literally jogging with the thing, and it keeps your video completely or almost completely steady, just so smooth. By the way, not a sponsor.
Yeah, GoPro's definitely not sponsoring this, although, hey. we do take some pretty cool adventures.
We will take some cool videos for you.
Yeah. So then
after that, where did you head after Yellowstone?
It's pretty much a straight shot to Mount Rushmore. It's about, I think, 12 hours.
Okay.
So I just knocked it out in a day.
Pretty sick.
Got there, crashed for the night, and then next morning woke up, and Mount Rushmore's just right there, dude. I was one of the first people as soon as they opened the park up. It was amazing. It's actually to be honest, that was more of a intense kind of surreal experience.
It's almost like it should be fake, right?
Kind of.
Because it's
kind of like it shouldn't be that cool because it's it's a thing and you've heard about it since you were a little tiny kid and whatever. And same as the Old Faithful guys,
right?
But
something you hear about all the time. So you're
know.
like,
it's just the fact maybe that
expectations are built up too much, and then you think, I'm gonna be let down.
Yeah, I think maybe just because it's so big. You're walking past and you look up and you're like, okay, well, that tree is that big. Well, shoot, man, I'm probably half the size of his eyeball.
That's pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy.
It's tiny. So the size and then the detail, the realistic look for something that large scale is insane.
It's pretty impressive.
So. Yeah, I enjoyed that cool. A lot, actually. I spent maybe too much time there.
All right.
And then got back on the road. And from there, I don't think I made a whole lot more stops except for gas. I was just hell-bound on getting to Nashville.
Okay. How was that?
Nashville, Tennessee?
Yeah.
I'd go back every chance I get.
Really?
Oh.
Why?
Oh, that place, whoo, hopping.
Really?
Oh yeah, even during the pandemic and everything, dude.
How so? Like, what are they doing over there?
Everything. But here's the funny thing: Nashville's like the country music headquarters.
Right.
Everything is like tons of famous people.
Right.
You know what their most profitable commodity is?
What?
Printing Bibles.
Oh my God!
For real?
Wow!
I don't even know.
Printing.
I didn't even know how
Bibles.
I don't even know how you can make money, let alone that be your number one commodity.
Also, how are they still selling those? There's so many already made.
I agree.
Is someone burning Bibles out there?
Yeah, who's burning Bibles? Trying to? No, it's the Bible makers.
Oh, no! We came up. We answered the question. The Bible makers are burning Bibles.
They're burning Bibles, so they have to print
selling more Bibles. They're breaking.
They come out with a new translation every 2 months, so they're like, "Hey, you'll really be able to understand it."
Hold on. This is the King James Version XL +2. It's got a couple of different variations of words. The Deep Sea Scrolls that we
thesaurus
found
on the backside.
Yes, and then we found another Deep Sea Scroll that we added into it. So it's the new updated version of the old.
And you can cross-reference because the numbers are even coordinated with something that kind of seems similar.
It's the updated version of the old dated.
By the way, we burnt the last ones.
So you have to buy it. by the way, we lost the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I don't know what happened to the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Those got burnt, so you can't buy those. Sorry. Dead air, guys. Sorry.
Stop it.
Everyone's like, fucking, why are you sucking on that? You're wasting my time.
Don't worry about it.
All right. So
you clicked on the podcast.
Okay. So right after that, you were heading straight to where?
Well, it was in Nashville. Went and saw Ryan.
Oh, that's where. Okay, cool.
So we hung
out
for a little bit.
A little time there.
Yeah. Actually, cool. Bought a guitar.
Oh shit.
In Nashville, I guess the thing to do.
Okay, what'd you get?
Martin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Martin fans out there?
It's actually really, really nice. We played a bunch of them. Well, he played a bunch of them because he's super good at it.
He is super good.
And then I kind of blinked on him. He's like, "This is the one you should get." Okay, well, that's the one I'm gonna get then.
Nice.
Got a nice case for it and everything, and then headed from there. I headed up to a little tiny town called Johnson City.
Okay,
that's where one of my army buddies is
in Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Way up by the coast of Johnson City.
Oh, okay. What's your buddy's name?
Oh,
should we say his name? Shout out to whoever this is.
Shout out to Austin Brown.
Hey,
he's gonna like it though.
There we go. Okay, right on.
If he listens to this, I'll send it to him.
Nice.
But yeah, he's a great guy. Country as hell. I mean, this is the guy that he'd be in military uniform, and as soon as we got off duty, he would take everything off, pull on a pair of overalls, big old boots, and no shirt, just walking around.
Nice.
With corn can that he drank water out of, and $1,000 in the bib of his overalls, like just cash. Like,
Jesus.
you can't. If you look at this guy, you're like, hillbilly as fuck. Can I cuss on this?
Sure.
I guess. All right. Well,
I already
hillbilly.
did earlier, so.
Okay. Well, hillbilly as fuck. And then you look at his truck. He drove this beat up Toyota pickup, lifted sky high, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh well, that guy's just from Hicksville, which you would be right. And but then he's like, he'll just buy you dinner and whatever, and he'll pull out this wad of cash. It's like
No wallet. Just cash.
$1,500 or something like that, just chilling. You're like, man, what are you doing?
Oh, that's funny.
It's hilarious. So I went and saw him. We went shooting and hiking, did a whole bunch of other stuff. Haven't seen him in a while.
Sweet.
Took me up to this beautiful resort on top of a mountain over in North Carolina. And so that was a cool experience in and of itself. Live music, open bar, just on top of a mountain. So the
Heck yeah.
behind the band is millions of miles of, view of mountaintops.
That's pretty sick.
That was pretty epic. Where do we go from there? Down to South Carolina.
Okay. What'd you see there?
Actually went and saw our cousin,
Okay.
Christina.
Nice.
She's down there.
Shout out to Christina. You're going to watch this too?
You will.
Share and subscribe.
Shameless plug.
I know.
Got to throw those in there once or twice, though. People seem to like that stuff because they follow orders. Subscribe. Like this video.
Hey, I didn't say it. Okay.
So yeah, we had a blast. Actually drove long way around from South Carolina, cut through backside of Georgia, and then came back up. Just kind of weaving through everywhere, dude. Just putting miles on the car.
I got a question for you. So during this traveling, what was so you were doing this all by yourself. There had to be at least once or twice when you were just like, oh shit, I'm by myself. If I fuck up, ooh, I could be a goner.
I don't know, man. Actually,
Was there a time like that? Or were you pretty set?
I think I was set.
Really?
And not set is in prepared. Like, set is in mindset. I didn't care. Like, if my car broke down on the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere, I'd be like, all right.
Shit happens.
Here we go. Another part of the adventure. I don't care.
Right on.
Like,
that's good.
Actually, I really didn't. Like, I put 8,000 miles on my car before I got an oil change.
Oh, just a little over.
Yeah,
just a little over.
Like, well, maybe I should get an oil change.
Well, I mean,
but that's a lot of driving. But yeah, man, I didn't have that freak out. No, not freak out, but just kind of like awareness, like, oh, I'm alone.
Ooh.
It didn't really happen so much. What did happen was when I was hiking in Utah.
Okay.
Through the Arches National Forest, or Arches National Park.
And that was trippy, right?
Well, multiple times. I think I told you the story.
Yeah, you told me. You told me a little bit.
Yeah, so hiking on the backside of these rocks, way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's a trail, but you can't tell there's a trail when the sun goes down. You'd forget your headlamp, and you're walking on the side of a cliff. So every single step is a test of faith, and possibly your death.
So it's completely black, or what is it like?
Well, so first of all, there was no moon that night for some reason. I'm not sure why. But,
luck of the draw.
But there were stars out.
Okay.
Which it didn't really help that much. So these rocks, I tell you,
how are the stars though?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They're out there.
Heck yeah.
Giant open sky.
Heck yeah.
You can't
cool.
get that in the city, man. I actually thoroughly enjoyed that experience, and I think that's kind of why I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna walk this out. I'm gonna be all right. So you can't. It doesn't add to the. You can't see anything.
Right.
But because the rocks are flat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're rounded and smooth.
It's like sandstone, right?
Let's see. They're curved.
Okay.
They don't have jagged edges. So when rocks, trees, whatever have jagged edges, the light glances off one side, and you can see corners and slopes, and you can tell dimension.
Right.
The problem with curves, perfectly smooth curves, is you can't see dimension when there's no direct light.
Also, that weird fading light, when there's just a little bit of light out, it kind of messes with your eyes. You know how the
It
sun
does.
just
It
goes
does.
down,
Yeah.
and it's like that weird transition between dark and not dark.
Mhm.
It's like kind of like depth
Oh no,
perception
it
is
was
like,
definitely
whoa.
pitch black though. It was like sun was going down as I'm hiking out there.
Boy.
And then I paused for a while and soaked up the stars and everything, and had a few squirrels and rats crawling across my legs.
I'll send let's see if we can get those videos, and then maybe I can drop a couple of links to some videos that
a couple
you
of
got.
pictures or something.
Yeah, a couple of pictures because they are
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Pretty cool
got some-
stuff.
That's the GoPro was the moneymaker right
Pretty
there.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so you almost got lost there, or what?
Well, I think it was I had a general direction. My sense of direction was pretty spot on.
Okay.
The problem is there's no like cut trail, no manicured trail. It's just you're walking across these giant fields of rock.
Mm-hmm.
And so every once in a while they have a T-post slammed into the rock with an arrow on it. Well,
Okay.
when it's pitch black, you're lucky if you
Oh, yeah.
find a
And you
stake
don't- and you
with a
don't have a
little
light. That's
arrow
right.
on it, and I don't have a light, and so I can't. So every once in a while I come across a stake, I'm like, yes, I'm on the right path. But then I lose one for like half an hour of walking. Like, man,
yeah,
I'm pretty
well,
sure. I'm hoping I'm going in the right
is,
general direction.
This is where I live now.
Yeah, this is gonna be
not
my
bad.
home.
A couple of months later, someone comes out and finds you under a rock.
What are you doing? This is
Like
my
you're-
house.
You forgot how to talk. You're like, "Ugh."
Dude. But so the rocks are curved and smooth. It's pitch black, and then all you see is black off in the distance where the horizon is.
Mhm.
And
Can
you're
you
not
see
sure.
a horizon? Well, I guess you could. The
Yeah, you
stars
can
and
see the
stuff.
horizon, but closer to you than the horizon is just a black kind of line,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, that's a cliff.
Mm.
So if I follow this cliff, it'll kind of curve me around, and I can follow this cliff possibly back to the trail.
Right.
So I'm following this cliff, and I know it's at least, based on the other rocks I've been climbing, it could be anywhere from 50 to 100 feet. So I'm like, well, that's certain death. But I'm going to follow this cliff anyway because that's the only sense of direction I have, only pathway.
Yeah.
So I'm following this kind of cliff face around, hoping I don't trip and fall off because every single step I'm taking with my knees bent. So that way,
Because you can't tell depth.
I can't tell depth. I don't know how far it's going to be a drop
Oh,
down
jeez.
when I step. So I take this weird like moonwalk steps every step over the course of 3 hours.
Oh, jeez. Sounds pretty trippy.
And then I'm walking along this cliff face, and I'm like, something brushes my face. I freak out a little bit. I'm like, look around. It's a tree branch where the cliff should be, but it's not. Turns out it's not a cliff. It's actually, well, it's a cliff that goes up.
It was a cliff?
It's a cliff that goes up. So it's a rock face.
Okay.
So the trippy thing is with the lighting and everything, you can't tell if it's a drop off or a cliff face coming up. And it turned out to be a cliff face coming up, so I could have run into it, and I would run right into a rock.
Weird.
Yeah, super weird. Anyway, so followed that around. Now, like, well, crap, it's not a cliff face, so I guess let's climb it. So I climbed up.
Oh my God. Yeah. Hey, I see rock, I climb rock. That's how I live my life.
You know those times when you're like, it's not that tall, I can climb that, and then you look down, it's 50 feet down. You're like, well, if I had to get down from here, that'd be a bad day.
You mean once you got to the top?
Halfway up.
Oh, yeah. So you might as well keep going up. Yeah, going down a cliff is so difficult.
Yeah.
Versus
So
going up.
I don't know. Anyway, somehow I made it back to the car, found the actual trail,
Sweet.
got back to the car. I was like, oh, hell yeah. All right, that was cool.
Well, I mean, you're here, so that's good.
Yeah. So I was actually I took a trail. It was supposed to be 3.5 miles one way. So it was like 7 miles round trip. And it turned out to be 27 miles.
Jesus. Wow.
Part of that was on purpose, and part of that was getting lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
But I'd say most of it was intentional.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty dope. I'm going to take this, change up our trajectory of our conversation a little bit. I'll try to put some of those pictures and videos up on a link down below the video, but
Or you could just cut them in.
no.
No?
So let's change it up and talk about a couple of things that you were thinking about. So things that you think are important to talk about, or things that you are just curious about and want another mind to sort of maybe flush some ideas out and maybe get to a better conclusion in your mind.
All right. Well, I think the first and most important is there's studies out there that show that you can obviously change your diet and everything, so you have the perfect crap.
Okay, yeah.
So essentially, this whole pandemic and everything that's happened, and everyone freaking out about toilet paper, essentially, if you have the perfect diet,
I know where you're getting at here.
you don't need toilet paper.
Actually, that's true. So
I know you've done some little bit of nutrition studying, and I've done a little bit. I can't say I'm definitely by no means a nutritionalist or have any kind of background in it, but you do a little bit of studying here and there, and you pick some stuff up.
okay, so is this a question or what is
I
this?
just want to know what your experience with it is.
What does your shit look like? Okay, so I mean, yeah, definitely don't go with the processed wheats. Processed wheats and sweets are like the worst thing you can do for yourself. I was actually talking to you and I think our sister earlier. I was saying that I bought cereal for the first time in years. And it was just some Cheerios and some Wheatie, Frosty Wheaties or whatever. And I mean, they taste good in the moment, but then like it's a breakfast cereal. And the worst thing that you can do for yourself, for your body, which is yourself, is to eat something that is going to give you a boost of energy for maybe 20 minutes and then make you feel like crap for the whole entire day.
Yep.
It messes up your...
It slows everything down in your body.
Everything down.
Because it's super processed carbohydrates, and your body can't digest those quick enough, and then it...
No. It digests them too fast.
Well, it digests the first part of them too fast.
Here's another thing. For people who are trying to get lose weight and all this, one of the reasons
take
why...
a massive dump.
One of the reasons why you should eat foods that are more fibrous, you should eat your veggies, you should not eat processed wheats, because it's too easy for that to go through your system. It's too easy. Your body doesn't work at all. So when you actually eat whole wheats, vegetables that you actually have to chew and eat and all these hearty foods and things like this, it takes a lot of energy. So you're actually like working to burn this food and to metabolize it. So let's say you ate 2 slices of white processed bread, okay? And then and another person eats 2 slices of whole wheat bread. I mean, you probably shouldn't be eating bread anyways if you're trying to lose weight, but let's just say this, okay? The person who eats white bread is going to burn maybe 20% the amount of calories. Don't fact check me on this. It's not exact, but you burn so many less calories processing the white bread versus the whole wheat bread. So it's the guy who ate white bread, he would have to go on a jog just to be at par with the guy who just ate the whole wheat bread and who's just sitting there. Yeah. So if you eat healthier foods, you don't have to work out as much.
Well, technically, you should avoid grains. You should avoid grains as much as you possibly can.
You should. What I tell as many people as I can, I say, you're trying to better your body, just stop eating wheats and sweets.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
Wheats and sweets, and then have if you want to
natural sweets, taste even better anyway.
Yeah, but if you want to be a little bit, get on the fast track, so to speak, then just don't eat sweets, because most sugar gets turned into insulin, which is turned into fat, and then that gets stored away. So
back to the crap.
Okay, back to the crap.
Back to the crap.
Eat fibrous foods.
All right.
Stay away from wheats and sweets.
So are you saying you want...
Eat your veggies.
So you always have to wipe. Have
You
you
don't
ever
have
had
to.
Well, technically, guess your underwear takes care of that, and by the end of the day, just throw them away.
Yes, it does.
Well, is there a time that you can recall that you wipe and you're like, there's nothing there? Oh,
Yes.
what did I do? What did I eat?
So, I actually just watched a doctor talk about this, except he didn't really give details on diet. He just said that if you eat a higher fibrous diet, of course, everything comes out a little bit more intact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's less of a mess and less to clean up. Yeah, I'm not really sure because I eat pretty good, and that is kind of a good idea to get your
Kind of
gut
reverse.
to get your gut in a
Yeah.
place where it is very healthy, because you're not supposed to have stuff backed up inside your guts. It should all be coming out, and it's called it should be called a cleansing, because you're cleansing
Well,
your
yeah,
pipes.
and there's specific cleanses you can do.
No, not literally. Just you should do this with
Oh.
your diet.
Oh,
Like,
naturally.
You don't yeah, naturally.
Okay.
You shouldn't, like, taking a shit. That's what I said. It should be called a cleansing,
Okay.
not just you shit, but then you still like feel like shit. You shouldn't feel like shit after you take a shit.
So what you're saying is, instead of saying we take a shit, you should be saying I'm going to go cleanse.
I mean,
Kind of.
if you want.
I mean,
I'm not saying you should say that. I'm saying that that's how it should be.
right.
Yeah.
Right,
You should
right.
be cleansing your system, because it shouldn't be like, back to the cereal thing. The shit I took after eating the cereal was just like, sorry guys, but it was a sloshy mess. Like, yeah.
Oh.
No, and I felt like terrible the whole entire day.
Yeah.
So, what I like to do is in the mornings, a couple of eggs, some spinach, some an avocado. I like to slice up a couple of cherry tomatoes and make a little omelet or something, or just maybe some scrambled eggs and some avocado and a couple cherry tomatoes, and that's a pretty good breakfast, I think. You can also add maybe a little bit of rice if you want, or make it into a breakfast burrito.
You definitely need
Throw in some chicken.
to make sure you have those complex carbohydrates, but also the simple ones.
So there's carbs damn near in everything.
Oh, well, yeah, but you want to have a mixture of carbs and proteins, so that way, because in the morning you're breaking a fast,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, cereal is like this.
Oh no,
instant
that's the worst thing
boost.
to break a fast with.
It's
Imagine
this
if you were
instant boost of energy, and then nothing left over.
You metabolize sugar pretty fast, and so it like hits you, and then you're like, I'm good, and then
Yeah,
I'm
and that's
done.
why eggs, meat,
You gotta get veggies,
even
man.
oatmeal. Oatmeal's the one grain that is actually okay.
Yeah,
I did a bunch of
I
research
would-
on this. I'm
I
not
would
sure why,
have-
but it's considered a kind of a berry actually.
yeah.
But
Well, that's,
definitely, yeah, it is.
who lied to you? It's a grass.
I know, but the fruit from the oats is called a berry.
Shouldn't all grasses be called, like all seeds of grass, be called berries then?
I don't know. Some of them are called seeds.
Because oats
I
is a
don't
seed
know.
of a grass. You know.
I didn't make up the rules, man.
It's like I just heard some weirdo talking
It
about
was
it.
a YouTube
Yeah,
video.
he was wearing flip flops, and man,
I was reading as fast as he could type. So, but yeah, definitely a complex breakfast helps you feel better throughout the day, and
Absolutely.
you'll definitely not have so much of the nasty shits.
Very true. Okay, let's move on past shits. We lost all of our lady audience.
Nobody's listening to this podcast anymore.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things so that's basically you kind of
Right. So
covered
that
a
was just
qu-
kind of an interesting.
yeah.
I felt it
something
was more
to-
fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
But also it's good. I mean, you want to make sure your system is healthy.
there's actually a lot of truth and a lot of good stuff that can come out of it, making sure you take a good shit.
Well, yes, if you don't shit, you die. So make sure you eat, and if you don't eat, you don't shit. So yeah, make sure you feel your body well.
Take a happy shit.
Sure.
On that note,
On that note,
Um,
let's talk a little bit about what you think, you know that other people or the majority of people don't know, and that you think is important for people to hear and to think about.
all right, so I think the majority of people, what they don't know is probably happiness.
What do you mean they don't know happiness?
They don't know happiness, and they don't know how to create happiness. And I think our view and our understanding of happiness is skewed. Microwave culture. I think we're all trying to pursue this quick dose of happiness instead of pursuing joy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we always get these hits. We're looking for this hit of happiness.
Aha.
So happiness has turned into a drug.
Well, it's always been a drug, but you're saying it's not something that you, it's not something that we embed in our lives, interweave in our lives completely. It's something that we live here, and then we slowly bump up against it sometimes, or something like that.
I think the majority of people don't know how to
Weave it in their life.
incorporate happiness into their daily life.
I think I can agree with that. So let me jump onto that train. So people treat themselves as if they are slaves, but also they treat their bodies as a slave, and they act with their mind as the dictator. And I think that is embedded in society very deeply. And I think that has a religious background to it.
Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this. Basically, we don't listen to our bodies well enough to understand what we should do to live our best life. And we treat it more like our machine in order to get what we think we want. But that's kind of maybe not really what I'm meaning. I'm meaning more like...
Let's pause real quick. I mean, you can talk to the folks. I'm just going to be right back.
So happiness is like short-term gratification. But it's not a bad thing. It can give us a spike, excitement. Joy, on the other hand, is the sense of knowledge and being at peace with yourself, and a overall sense of gratification of life. Happiness is more like the spikes. And I think a lot of people
Well, I mean, that's just a definition.
go out and try to get that spike of happiness outside of their life, outside of their daily life, versus finding ways to incorporate happiness into their daily life. And once you figure out how to incorporate happiness into your daily life, that's when joy starts happening, because now you're at peace with your life.
And now you love living. Now you don't just
pretty much
love the vacation.
Exactly.
That takes you away from living.
People hate coming home because they're back to their life. Well,
because now they're the slave again.
What if your life was full of those little spikes of happiness and accomplishment and gratification, and then your life would be enjoyable. I think most people don't know how to enjoy even the hardship, the misery. You were in the Army. There's this term, embrace the suck. And I guess it's a way we we describe resiliency,
Yes.
right? So being resilient is essentially the ability to bounce back and even get through
To overcome.
tragic circumstances and overcome. Yes. And I think a lot of people don't have the resiliency, therefore they don't know how to actually even enjoy the the tragic moments, the bad things that happen to us in life. And I don't mean put a smile on your face and enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean enjoy them, it doesn't necessarily mean happy about them.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is you understand that this is a page in your book and you own your book so much that no matter what happens, it's your book, and so it's part of your story, so you enjoy that.
That's right. So, so about loving the growth, which is embracing the suck, it's sort of the adventure, you're growing from what the suck is. Of course, the suck can get so bad that you can die. But the fun part is dancing on the edge of chaos and on the edge of known. You dance on the edge of chaos because you have all of the background of what you've known until this point. So you take what you know, and from that, all of the knowledge you have acquired through all the years of your life, you can now put one foot into chaos.
Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, I think you're getting to this next part of the question, and that is, what creates happiness?
Okay, so happiness. What creates happiness?
Well,
first
I don't
off,
mean the
let's
endorphins in your brain.
Let's
Okay,
throw some
let's take that
ingredients
out of there.
Let's throw some ingredients in here because we need a couple of things that have to happen in order for you to have happiness. And so let's get those out of the way.
Oh, right.
First off, you have to be alive, so you need to take care of that. Okay, so first off, you need to make sure that you are in a place where you can live. Okay, and that's a lot of people are still stuck in this area of just trying to survive. And so it's almost impossible for them to even have...
What is survival, though?
What do you mean?
I think a lot of people think...
So, like, if you're fighting for your life, you're trying to live. And you can't really...
Right.
It's hard to be happy.
Right.
Unless you're...
Very
unless
difficult.
you completely embrace the suck, and then
somehow you embrace...
This is what some people call being blood drunk, or you can put it in different phrases, because you can become blood drunk without being, massacring stuff or being in any sort of battle, but you can still have this sort of blood drunk mentality that pushes you, and you're
no
like,
matter what happens,
like,
you're just like, well.
Okay, so you can sort of get this blood drunk feeling when you're working out. When you're working out, you start to feel the burn, right? You feel the burn. There's a certain point where the burn is so intense, your body says, all right, now we're done. But if you go past that and you could start crying, you could start yelling, you went past it, and then you totally embrace the suck, and now you become blood drunk for the pain, because it's growth. The pain is growth.
Yeah.
And so in this blood drunk story of what some people do in battles past, and even nowadays, they have totally embraced it, and they say, I am the conqueror, and I will grow through this. And becoming the conqueror is growth, because conquerors win. So conquering wins. So now you're and then you go past that.
So that is a form of I guess enjoyment, even though
enjoyment
it's
in
miserable.
the suck. Yes, yeah. But like
Totally
I said,
miserable.
it's a very few people that
yes.
can live within the survival realm and still be reach joy.
So survival.
Some
say
people
if you have to survive.
Some people would
in
call
order
that
to start living happy. Let's say you.
So we have to go a little bit
you
above
need
this.
food, shelter,
Yep.
clothing.
Right. Okay, so originally you said what creates happiness? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so what creates for human species, what creates happiness?
Okay, so I would say in the pursuit of the things that you need to survive, you are winning if you start getting those things.
Right.
I think happiness and joy comes from the pursuit of winning, because you are you are being able, and every choice that you make is now correct because you took the correct knowledge that you acquired from your past, and now you use that to win so that you can survive better for your family or whatever.
So you're saying winning is a key element.
So you're providing.
You're providing.
So yes, you're winning. If you're not providing, you're not winning.
It's true. It's true. But
a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah, because
there's more
you can
to it.
win.
There's more to it.
Okay. That kind of leads into my next question.
I would say that's an ingredient right above living.
Right.
So you have to provide.
Right.
I think that's an ingredient. You have to provide for yourself or for your family. But let's just say that it's all by yourself. So provide for yourself. That means you're winning a little bit. Even if you're sucking, barely living, you're still winning because you're still alive.
Right. Right. Even if you're living off of beans, if you are able to catch a mouse and eat the mouse, like you're going to be extremely happy.
Yeah.
That's going to create a moment of success.
So a little lesson here before we go in deeper, I would say even people who feel like shit, people who are still in the suck, who have a hard time trying to get out of here, who feel like a loser, remember that you're still a winner. You haven't lost. You haven't lost yet.
You haven't lost yet.
You haven't lost yet. Keep going. All right, now let's go on to the next tier.
So I think the next tier of happiness is creativity.
Let's say the pursuit of happiness.
Pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit of a kind of happiness. Let's go with that.
Okay. So I think what gets us on track to create that happiness, another element, like you're saying, is creativity. If we create, we are essentially building our happiness when we create.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
So, I think we should be, because you can be creative in all kinds of ways. Animals are creative. It's very creative to surround an animal in a certain way, or stalk it, or even use buddies to take down an animal, or things like this, or to dodge this way to avoid getting attacked. So what kind of creative are you talking about when you say it takes creativity?
I don't think actually you need to define creativity and limit it when I'm talking in this circumstance, because essentially what I mean is we're expanding our brain outside of the known to create a unknown path that leads to success.
Let's take the stance of an animal. So you're about to be chased by a tiger, and I am the animal right now. I know how to walk, I know how to run, but I've never run up a cliff. That's the unknown. I don't know if I can do that.
Right.
But if I don't try, I die. So I'm going to have to dance on the edge of what I know and then step one foot into the chaos of the unknown. I could fall off the cliff and die, or I could run up it and then make it to the top and avoid being eaten. So either I give up and be eaten, which is still staying in the known, completely in the known, or I can dance on the edge of chaos and known and then escape and live.
Now, in that moment, do you think that it's a success just because you make it up the cliff, or?
No, that's being creative.
Okay. So I agree. I think that you need to be creative in all aspects of life. And I think as soon as people find this rut that they get themselves into, I think that limits the avenues that they can take to find their creativity.
Okay. So you can still win in a certain light, but you're not going to win as much as others. And if you're not winning as much as others, always remember that there is a hierarchy. Remember, I was talking to you before about a spectrum. You can find a spectrum in almost everything.
Well, it's also winning for yourself as much as you can. Because if you stop at a plateau, and maybe you're still winning to an extent, right? You're doing well in your job or whatever, but you can do better as a person, as an individual. Your potential for growth is there. You're not winning as much as you can. That
Well,
hinders your happiness in life as well,
why?
because there's potential for creativity that you're not using.
Not exploiting.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think, because some people would say that they would argue, and very, very justifiably, they would say, no, 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 I'm living. The point is to live and to exist and to experience life. So why would I step a foot into chaos, which is growth?
Right.
Why would I do that and risk losing what I've got, or even losing just a little? Why risk it?
I think it's a tough question for me personally to see that viewpoint, simply because I don't know, I've always risked things. I feel like if I'm stagnant and I'm not risking something, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to live to my true self. I'm not going to be able to meet my friends next week and have some new story to share with them. You know, a new experience. It's going to be the same thing, and then that kind of just leads to a dormant life.
It's very true, except people would argue, like I said before, and very justifiably.
Okay,
like
well,
I said
to
before,
your
that
argument,
it's
to answer
safe.
your argument, you
It's
know
safe.
why?
Yeah. So no,
Why would you choose to do that?
Yeah.
Why would you choose to step out into the chaos and into the unknown?
Yeah.
For more happiness, greater enjoyment of life.
But you're risking, you see.
Yeah. You're also risking
Not
putting a
getting,
mortgage on your house when it could burn down.
Mm-hmm.
You're also risking getting into your car to drive to work when you could die.
Mm-hmm.
You're also risking eating food that came out of a cardboard box, and it could be poisonous.
Yeah.
You don't know if somebody
So,
dumped a...
In other words, people risk things every day,
100%, man.
and they don't necessarily know it.
They've done it so many times.
Uh-huh.
They, in their mind, they assume there's little to no risk.
Right.
When in reality, you could take a shower and fall, crack your head on the side of the shower, and be dead.
That's very true. Yeah.
I mean...
Better get those little sticky things.
Nah, man, just wear socks to shower.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Never washed my feet before in my life.
Pour a bunch of shampoo, bunch of soap right there on your socks, splash around, washes your feet perfectly.
Geez. No, so pursuit of life, pursuit of happiness, I do think that requires you to... Here's another thing that I talked to my old boss about. I said, I think this has to do with a little bit of finding happiness, being a good person. So I think a little bit. Of course, you can jump around in different directions and be happy.
Okay.
Okay, but let's hear this out, and maybe we can find something here. So to be a good person, I think you have to try. You have to make an effort. But to not be a bad person, you don't have to make an effort.
I can see the validity in that for sure. And again, that comes down to
and to make it swing back to the happiness side. I think you have to make an effort to be happy, therefore be good. And in other words, if you stay stagnant and don't make an effort, you aren't necessarily good, and you won't necessarily be happy.
So when you say good, are there certain things you're referring to, like being friendly?
Yeah. Well, I can
cordial.
I can sum that up for you.
Not trying to take advantage of people without repaying, kind of a thing.
So I can kind of make this pretty simplified. So what are you? We talked about this a little before. If we just talk about the thing we are, I don't really like to say a thing. The being we are a very, very complex being, as are all forms of life. So if you want to be a good person, then you will make it your mission to
benefit those around you and yourself.
No, not ones. To keep complexity in the universe complex and that includes yourself, and strive to keep it so, which means you want to do what you can to sustain life. That's what complex means in my version here. And to try to make it more complex, which means provide for the future.
So
Because if everything just stayed at its complexity and didn't strive to make it more complex, then pretty soon everything will just stop there. I think that's being stagnant.
Yeah, stagnant.
Yeah.
And I maybe it's part of I don't know how the molecules and everything in our solar system line up. But you use the word stagnant, and the reason that seems like a bad word, I think, derives from water. When it's just stagnant, it just gets nasty, and that's why we use that word to represent something that's not good.
I think another reason why we also think it's not good is because when you say stagnant, you're froze, you're a deer in the headlights, and then you'll be eaten.
Right. So you're saying that
So
someone who's stagnant, let's just say, let's just eliminate good and bad for a second. So let's just say someone who's stagnant
well, here's a
can't
fun.
be happy. Is that what you're saying? So you said good people can be happy,
no.
bad people can't necessarily be happy. So what you're saying in essence is stagnant people are going to be less happy
Yes.
than those who are
Oh no.
in motion.
You're going to be less likely to be happy. So if you're looking at a spectrum here of all the people who are stagnant, there's going to be a minority.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Are, yeah, okay,
absolutely.
And then,
for some reason, they're
you
stagnant,
understand?
but they're still happy.
Okay, so for people that are
Yes,
just
exactly.
listening, so there's a spectrum. Imagine you're holding your hands up, one about 2 feet apart. One side there, and this is a spectrum of all stagnant people. On one end of the spectrum, there is people who are never happy, ever, because they're so stagnant. On the other end of the spectrum, there is a minority who are happy sometimes, but that's just how spectrums work, and that's just how life works.
Yeah.
There's always going to be these
exception to the
opposite
rule.
ends of the pole and things like that. So less likely to be happy if you're stagnant, and more likely if you're not to be happy. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, I think that's a really good spot to.
That does wrap it up pretty well. So
yeah. So
don't
don't be stagnant.
Keep things complex and strive to make them more complex.
And use your creativity to your full potential.
Aha. Yes. And don't be afraid
of risk,
of the chaos that you haven't explored, because you do have an arsenal of knowledge at your disposal.
And you might not
creativity.
even know that you have that knowledge or where even you picked it up until you break that boundary and step into the chaos. And then you realize, oh, hey, I picked up a whole bunch of other stuff that actually applies to this, even though it doesn't seem relevant.
Do you think that nowadays, with our comfortable lives, do you think that people are more likely to become stagnant because it's almost becoming the norm to, get a house in the suburbs and just reproduce? Sorry for the unflattering terms. Get a house in the suburbs, an office job, and reproduce.
I think so. I don't actually think that that's a bad way to put it, because honestly, I think a lot of suffering produces happiness in a weird way. And I think it does two things, actually. I think suffering and having to strive through in life, I think that produces two things. I think one, I think actually the struggle
you fight through life
produces happiness, but I think also it gives you a more grateful spirit to the little things that are around you that produce comfort and then
in other words,
happiness.
So in other words, it gives you something to say, that was terrible, I'm here.
Reference point. Yeah.
A reference point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people that grow up in the suburbs get a good job and then, do the same thing. Just repeat, rinse, repeat. I think the problem with that is the reference point is in shambles. Their reference point for
They
suck
don't know
is
what
kind
suck
of
is.
well basically where they are, so they think they suck, but they also don't have much of a reference point to grandeur, and so they that's why a lot of people who are doing actually really, really well in life are depressed. They're miserable.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about depression then, because we talked about happiness. Let's talk about the other end. So, and we're kind of getting into that. And losing the ability to want to step into the chaos. Since we live in a soft society, everything is so easy. Literally, you just, like, people don't think about this. You can walk into a market, an enclosed market, a heated and air-conditioned marketplace with lights
And filtered
there's-
air.
and filtered air, and there's food everywhere.
And there's people making sure the food looks good.
This is ridiculous. Like, you walk into a Walmart or any supermarket, this is crazy. This has not been around very long.
Not that long.
Not very long at all.
No.
And you just walk into an enclosed marketplace. If people don't know, there used to be always just like
and the food looks so good. People forget that you should wash your food. But I mean, back when there weren't enclosed markets, food was just thrown on a wooden table.
well, yeah, and then
and
also the orchards weren't so big, so they had to
raw meat was thrown on a wooden table.
yeah. And now it's in
Or hung up
plastic
and there's flies flying around it and everything. Like
And usually they were alive so that they could preserve them longer. Because if they didn't sell their meat, then they ran out of money. So they
Exactly.
had just have live pigs just hanging out. Oh, you want that one? Okay.
Okay. Well,
You want this chicken?
Yes.
Okay. We'll take that one. It's fresh.
And a lot of times they didn't even butcher them. They just waited till they got home.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
it's easier to lead a pig than to kill
Carry
it and then
it.
have to carry it.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? So, yeah. So people a lot of times don't realize. I mean, people, even if you're an older person, supermarkets have been around. And so younger generations have no idea, even you and me, we've never seen a place without a supermarket, a place without food just sitting there. It's like, this is crazy, so easy. And we used to have to hunt because that's where the food came from. We used to have a garden because that's where your food came from. I think that gardens are very important, and providing, instead of getting the money and then buying the food, if you actually grow it, raise it, it's something totally different than the plastic way of living of,
I think there's a lot of sense of ownership in it too.
yeah, sense of ownership and a sense of, I would say, winning. Because it's not very hard to get cash from anywhere and then buy a thing, but it's harder to raise the thing that you're,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, I forgot to water it, or it died. You're a loser.
Yeah.
You failed.
You totally failed.
Yeah. So then you didn't provide.
My green thumb is very brown. I suck at growing things.
Your green thumb
Green thumb.
is this. I've never heard this before.
Oh, well, see, now you're
I'm the rookie.
the newbie.
What does this mean?
Green thumb means you have a way with plants. You're a good gardener. You can take care of plants.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I would like to get a garden.
But yeah, man, on the other spectrum of people not knowing where their food comes from, but just having an abundance of food ready at their hands. What we talked about taking a crap earlier. Like, where does that go?
Yeah, people don't know where that
People
goes.
didn't know. Like,
Also-
it used to run right into the street.
Yeah.
It used to
Well, you
like
just dump it out on the street.
dump it out in the street.
Yeah. The Romans were the first people who had irrigation and plumbing and all of this.
Well, actually, London pretty recently didn't have a good infrastructure, and they still had crap running right into their streets. They had some kind of plumbing, but it would still run into a ditch that ran down the middle of the street.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very recent. And if you're talking about things that are bad for health, think about all of the waste that we produce. Just one person each year. It's something like a ton.
Pretty sure it's more than that.
Probably more.
Yeah.
So definitely need to cut back on waste. And that's what I want to focus on in my life, is to try to cut down somehow, like reorganize and restructure the whole waste process in America somehow.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, also it's happening all over the globe. But I think if you start at one place, then, it's easier to encourage other people to do the same. But let's go back on depression. So if you're just thinking about the simple way of living, which is kind of what we're talking about, the simple life of America and first world countries and things like this, things are too easy sometimes. And what's a good way for people to still live in a first world country, but also work on the depression and learn how to not have it?
Work. Building something with your own hands, I think, has a huge, huge place. Like you said, gardening.
Mm-hmm.
Gardening. It's doing something with your hands, building something that produces a value that can, like we talked about earlier with the survival, that can produce winning. Right?
So,
Little
acts of winning.
Little acts of winning require work. And I think our culture is very work adverse.
And I think
very work adverse.
The easiest way to get these little acts of winning is starting with your diet. Let's full circle here. Because let's just say you live in a place like, a high rise in New York. It's hard to find a garden somewhere to garden at.
Absolutely.
Or to build something, to have a hobby where you can, go to a workshop or something.
Yeah.
So if you live in just a little, 1-bedroom apartment or some studio, it's hard to win other than provide for your life, just have the bare necessities of making some money and then getting to the next weekend.
Yeah, it is difficult. And I think if you do work on your diet, that is
that's
a challenge.
It's a challenge, and it's an act of winning. Hop on that scale.
It's intentional.
Measure your body fat, measure your weight, measure how much you can, how strong your body is. Get your body physically fit. Then your immune system will be a lot stronger. You'll live longer. You'll stay young longer.
Pretty much eliminate depression at that point.
Pretty much eliminate depression. I tell you, if you start working out regularly, get your blood flowing, get your heart rate up, get a jump rope, do some push-ups. You can do so many things.
Doesn't actually take much.
It doesn't take much.
No.
I mean, even if your bedroom is the size of this little studio, then or your whole apartment, the size of the studio,
you can still do push-ups.
Get on the ground, do some jumping jacks and push-ups. Yeah, absolutely. No, I've been pretty consistent with exercise, and I've been feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
getting out of a slump, getting your heart rate up. Also, another thing I would recommend is hopping in the shower. After your shower's over,
blast the cold water.
Yep. It's gonna suck. And here's a funny thing about embracing the suck. If you go headstrong into the suck that you know is coming, there's something that triggers in your brain. It's a little, I forget what it's called. Somebody maybe leave it in the comments or something, but something switches in your brain when you go into the chaos that you know is coming versus chaos attack you, and then that's like flight or fight response.
Yep.
If you go into it head on, just like turning on that water and knowing it's going to come, you get this feeling of like you get this winning feeling, and then
superpower,
and then you're gonna feel better because you conquered something that morning or that night or whenever it was you turned on that cold water. You won because you
have to
embraced it
in the cold water.
Yeah, for a little
bit.
while,
and just turn your body and let it hit all
let
different parts of your body.
Because remember, your skin is an organ.
Yeah,
let it let it work, let it shrink, let it expand, let it contrast, let it do these things. And you'll,
It's definitely a trip.
it's definitely good for your body because if you go hot water, like really hot, boom, you get heat shock proteins kicking in, and then bam, shift it to all the way cold shock proteins. So 2 in 1, bam, bam, bam. And then you're going to hop out of that shower and you're like, woo, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
So that's another thing that you can do. I mean, that you're going to feel real good. Also, if you want to go even more intense, buy a couple of bags of ice from the nearby store, dump it in your bathtub. If you don't have a bathtub, then, well, go find one. And then just lay in the ice water for a little while.
I've never intentionally made an ice bath.
You should do it.
No.
Feels really good.
I've rolled around in the snow.
That's not the same. You got to soak in the ice for like 10 minutes.
I know.
Yeah, it's good.
Supposed to, but
and then
that one's tough.
Another thing you can do is maybe before you go to bed or before you wake up or even both, I would just sit there and breathe. Just instead of just sitting there and thinking, because you can breathe unconsciously or subconsciously, and you can just focus on thoughts. But instead, if you have to focus more on your breath.
Even counting, just eliminate all the other thoughts, but count and just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as you breathe out, and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do that for about 2 or 3 minutes.
I don't really. Maybe that works for you, but for me, I don't like to count. For counting on certain things is fine, but counting when you're trying to calm your mind or even focus on something really intensely. Let's say you're trying to work out and just get the hardest workout in. Let's say you're doing push-ups. I think counting messes you up a little bit.
Kind of does, because you have this certain subconscious goal you're trying to reach.
You're going to stop at. I think. And it's actually, you'll find if you do this, it's actually really hard not to count.
Maybe when you've gotten past that point, but I'm talking about when you first get into breathing, when you go into bed. I don't know about you, but my mind goes 1,000 miles an hour.
Well, just hold on, do this.
So I count, and then after a minute or two, calm down.
Do this. Don't count, because now you're not focused on breath, you're focused on numbers. And this is going to get your mind going, because now you're like, now I'm thinking of this metallic world of numbers and things that we created. We didn't create breath. We breathe. This helps us live. So instead of numbers, just only breath. You focus on breath. It's just, now there's no numbers, no nothing. Just my air filling up. My whole body is expanding. My rib cage. That's the only thing that's happening.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying there's steps.
I don't think you need to count. I think counting distracts you.
Or maybe that's just what works for you.
Try both.
I have.
Okay. Well, what do you like? What do you like the most?
I like numbers. I like to count.
Why?
I don't know. I count when I'm doing everything. And it doesn't mean, so I think what you're saying is you think counting has a purpose. There's no purpose behind counting.
No, I'm not saying it has a purpose.
It doesn't serve. I'll count when I'm washing dishes.
So this
I don't know why. It's just like, it's just a thing. I just do it.
But this is why, I mean, I count all the time too, but I've started to slowly not count, because even like doing push-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you just automatically count. Like, what am I doing? And I think this is why it's really distracting for your mind, because then I think it makes it want to race faster. Instead of counting, it's hard not to count when you do push-ups. So, but instead of counting, just do push-ups. Just up, down, Like, just do push-ups. Just move your arms like this. And now, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, whatever, just my body is low, my body is high, I'm contracting, I'm expanding, I'm feeling muscles. So instead of counting and just putting your mind in a metallic world with numbers, and this is all that is, put your mind instead of your mind, put your mind into your body and feel everything. This way, your mind is still in a place and it's not wandering and it's not losing control because you're like, I need something to think about. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. But this is what I mean. If you don't count, you feel like your mind, it needs to be someplace. So it helps to count, yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what I am saying is I think it's so much better when you clear your mind of counting and numbers and all of this to just think of the body, because you're still thinking. Absolutely. You have 1,000,000,001 things to think about because it's every single muscle, every single thing.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
When you're washing a dish, it's watching your muscles do this. I am washing this dish. I am cleaning it. It's like this dance.
Being more aware in the moment.
Yeah. Instead of counting like I'm a machine,
right.
like I am doing this dance. I am polishing this crystalline structure that is into this disc-shaped thing. Like, it's really fun, you know? So instead of you being this conductor of a machine, now you are a body. You are it. You're in it. You're becoming this thing. So when I say don't count when you breathe.
Well,
time out.
Sorry. Let's put it on pause.
Okay, and we're back. Sorry about the little interruption. Okay, so we kind of covered our topics pretty well. Of course, you could go more in depth, but happiness, depression, and that's pretty important things. But if you're talking about happiness and depression, you're assuming that those are things, one, you should avoid, and another you should try to pursue at some sort of level. But why is that the case? Why should we do it anyways? Why should we care if we're happy or sad? Why does it even matter?
Oh, man, that's a interesting question. I think that's kind of a question that no one thinks to ask because it feels right to be happy and it feels wrong to be depressed.
Okay. Why?
Actually,
that implies that
even that though is kind of subject to time and emotion, because there's times when you want to feel depressed. You actually want to feel it. Like I've been depressed before, and for some weird reason, it feels good to be depressed. Like you don't want out of it.
The emotions, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and in the same way, sometimes like if you are depressed, sometimes getting yourself to be happy or other friends trying to help you be happy does not feel good. And so it's almost subjective.
So with there being a place, a state of mind to exist in, and another state of mind you don't want to exist in, that implies that there is a good and there is a bad. So what is, like, why do we say there's a good and why do we say there's a bad, and what are they?
Actually, I can answer this very confidently, actually. And I think it all comes back to the whole survival thing, because you will survive longer if you live in a majority state of happiness versus depression. And that is why happiness is good, simply because you will survive longer.
Yep. Okay. And then, okay, that sounds good. So it's all about living, but why is living good? So you say living is good because you'll live longer if you're in a good, happy state of mind, but why is living good?
I think it's because if you think of anything that is ever created or came to existence, however you want to, like, somebody made a hookah, somebody made the microphone. It has a lifespan, expected. Let me put it that way: an expected lifespan. It's supposed to last this long.
Mm-hmm.
right? And throughout its lifespan, it is capable of this many things. Humans being extremely complex, we are capable of unknown. We don't know, right? We made airplanes, cars, computers, Teslas, everything,
Okay.
rocket ships, right? And so I think the reason that it is good to live long is to push the boundaries
Well, that's not what I asked.
of
I mean, yeah, live long creating stuff, that's all cool and fine and dandy, but
why is it good
living,
to live?
Yeah, why is living good? Because that kind of is
In
the
general,
root.
why is living good?
Yeah, so that's like the root of what we came to find at the bottom of what is good.
I don't
and
know
why-
about you, but
why good.
I think of my life as a story.
Okay,
And
no,
that's how I
but
define
why?
everything. And so
Why do we want to live? Like, why do we want to live so bad that we'll kill someone else to live?
I don't know why I think everyone has to find that for themselves. But for me personally, my reason for living so bad, like you said, is because legacy. I think my life is pretty much purposeless unless there's something that comes out of my life that outlives my life.
For what? So let's say you make a stone chair
Okay.
that's going to outlive you.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes and no. More like, so let's branch away from physical things. Yes, physical things are amazing, but what's more important is character attributes and memories.
Okay.
Something that the next generation can take and build off of. So a stone chair, you can't necessarily
so
build off of that.
So like
And what is that called? There's growth. Yeah, I mean, growth is a good word, but anyway, so personally, I think that the whole purpose of life is that you can branch from one step, and then the next generation can take what you've built and move from that next step. And that's what separates us from the rest of the animal species to humans, is because we can transcend
stand on the edge, stand on the shoulders of giants. Yeah, no, for
yes.
sure.
No other animal species really does that. I mean, sure, they learn things from their parents, but they don't necessarily learn. Like maybe a dog learns these tricks, roll over, sit, stay, etc. That mother dog, it's smart and loving and caring as she is, she's not going to teach sit, stay, roll over to her babies.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she did, then maybe her babies already would know that, and then now humans could teach them something else, or the dogs could branch out and learn something else on their own and then teach, but they don't do that.
What does happen though is we selectively breed the smartest ones, and they're getting better and better at sitting and staying and not biting people. So
I am glad for that.
yeah, so
There's too many stupid dogs in the world.
Well,
Because
actually,
when they're breeding, they just at very first people are breeding dogs. Oh, it looks cute.
oh, it looks cute.
It's
Let's breed them again. But it's like
It's a moron.
I don't have a brain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, so you're saying kind of like what we were touching on a little bit earlier, you will have purpose in your life, and people will,
So-
if they, like you, not just keep their own physical being
Right.
complex, but expand upon that. So you keep your own physical being complex, but then make it so that other beings can remain
Essentially
complex
setting the stage for the next.
after you go on.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to set the stage. You have to set a foundation. I think if you were not using your life to build a foundation, to set the stage for the next act, the next play, or whatever happens, then essentially no one's going to remember you. And
Why is that a good thing? Why do you care? In the long run, no one's going to remember your name.
Yeah,
So
well, that's not true.
it is true.
No
No one's going to remember my name either.
someone's going to remember my name.
Well, of course, people
And
are
that's
gonna.
why people.
But look,
That's why
look,
people do commit
I'm-
mass
I'm-
genocide.
I'm talking about
It's
this.
for that reason. They feel like there's no other way for people to remember them, so they're gonna go do something crazy and stupid.
I'm not trying to
I
say
know what
people
you
won't
mean.
remember your name. I mean, you could be as great as Alexander the Great, which, I mean, he was a murderer and whatnot too, but also he was born great. So there's actually,
What you're saying is like,
but anyways, what I am saying is that in the span of time,
right?
even if our species lives for 1 trillion years, no one's going to remember Alexander the Great. No
At
one's going to
some
remember
point,
our
it'll
name.
fade. You
At
mean.
some
That's
point,
what you mean.
yeah,
At some point, it will fade.
exactly. So if
I don't
it
actually
fades,
think. So to be honest,
I think
I don't care
I think
about
what
my
lasts-
name necessarily. I don't. I mean, if it lasts 2 generations, 3 generations, that'd be amazing. It'd be fantastic. 4, 5. Whew, now we're talking.
why would you care? You're not going to be around.
Not because you care about the offspring in the next generation.
Let me jump in there real quick. I don't care if my name is remembered at all, ever. What I do care about is if I can teach lessons that will last for eons. The lessons
Yes.
are what's important. So
Yes.
you were talking about legacy, not necessarily a physical object, but the lessons and the teachings that will last
Right.
and echo through time.
Why do you care about
Oh, so
your lessons
I
being
am
transferred?
so I am a complex
You're going to be
creature.
dead.
I am going to be dead.
Why
But-
do you care?
So this is why I care, is because I am a complex creature that has grown out of this planet. And being a complex creature, I want the rest of my complex creatures that are also a extension of me, like another ant is an extension of the rest of the colony.
So what you're saying is you're part of the colony, and
without the individual, there is no colony. You start taking bits and pieces away, pretty soon you will just have no colony.
so you care about the survival of
you
the
could-
colony.
You could say, I am the
and
colony.
the growth of the colony.
Exactly. So not necessarily the growth of the colony, but the existence and the existence of the consciousness that we possess in the colony. Even if the population, like let's say we get a big disaster or something terrible happens to the planet and only a few things live, as long as they live, the consciousness lives. And the consciousness took so long to be. It's like looking at a rock, and then you set the rock there, and then you fast forward in time and you just stare at the rock. This is how incredible it is. You stare at the rock, you fast forward in time, and it is like the rock wakes up and says, oh my God, I can think. This is how insane it is that we can actually speak to each other. It is so incredible that we grew out of this planet. It is incredible. It is like we are looking at a rock, and then over eons, the rock wakes up and says, oh my God, I have an idea. This is how insane it is. So I want to preserve consciousness that exists, and that means figure out a way to not kill ourselves. So that's what I want to do.
So I think it all boils down to legacy, honestly. So happiness,
sure, you could say
wanting
that.
to be happiness, wanting to be happy, and the reason it's good is because in essence, it helps preserve legacy.
Life. And if you don't have life, then I guess you don't have legacy either. So legacy
Yes.
helps life, you could say. A good legacy does. Good lessons, let's say that.
I suppose humanity could continue without legacy. I don't know if it could. I don't
Well,
think
what legacy
I guess
is,
it could.
what legacy
As
is
as a unintelligent animal.
we
Barbaric. It
We're-
would be barbaric.
legacy
to continue without legacy.
Legacy
Could
is
survive, but
legacy is the shoulders of giants. So even if you don't
Right.
know the giants that you stand
you
on,
don't need to.
you still are living on
Yeah.
those legacies.
Exactly.
So you can't say legacy without lesson.
Legacy is the lesson.
Exactly. So it's the same. It's one and the same.
Right.
So if you want to live better, you're going to live off the lessons of other people because then you don't have to learn everything over.
Totally.
You just take them over.
Yeah.
So yes, you are going to learn better with lessons/legacy.
Totally. Totally.
So that's what, if you want to say, why are we doing all of this? You do it because you are an offspring of, not an offspring. You are the emergent consciousness of everything that exists in all of eternity. We are at the forefront of time and existence. All of our past has led up to this point, and it's only going to last.
do you know that?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm throwing that out there, but I mean that's a different topic for a whole nother podcast. But
It's,
we don't know that we're at the forefront of time.
We are at the forefront of
We
time.
could be in one time space continuum when there's another ultra universe that is living out exactly what we're living
So
out
here's
just
the
10 years in advance.
Here's the thing.
And
You
so,
can't ever get to that universe, so this is the only one we're going to talk about.
Well, I know, but I'm throwing that out. There's a mind trick. I mean,
I'm not going to
not a
listen
mind
to
trick,
it.
but
So, are you talking about
not talking about
the computer simulation type of thing? Is that what you're getting at?
I'm not sure where you're going.
Like,
with that.
we could be living in a simulation. All doesn't matter anyways. We're just a brain of that type of deal.
Oh no, actually, that's not what I was getting
Okay,
at.
well then good.
Yeah,
Because
no.
it's like,
That's not what I was getting at all.
okay, yeah, and then we're also in an alien spaceship getting probed and stuff and blah,
then
blah, blah.
we could have
Okay, so,
no.
exactly. So we are going to assume that we are living in the existence that we can test and measure, and this is true, and this is what is. And so what is that we can look back at our history and measure how we came about.
Mhm.
And then once we see where we are, this is what is at the forefront of all of the universe. Everything has led up to this very point, you know? You had to have all of these processes happen in order for us to even exist.
The amount of those processes is quite literally mind-boggling.
Absolutely. And I encourage everybody to
to
educate
try
yourself.
to think about
All of the processes that
all
happen.
everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And
The more you think about that, actually, I think the more aware and grateful you will be about your life.
absolutely. I mean, people talk about scientists as if they are just some sort of robots who have no feelings. But really, if you study who you really are and where you come from, you will learn that you are the
You don't even
offspring.
have to dig that far down to
You
just
don't.
make yourself
You are-
mind blown.
you
Even
are
if you
the-
take just your parents' life and how, like, even if you just stop there.
Yeah, sure. But let's
I
not
mean, you
stop
could
there.
you could go much further, and it's amazing. But
So
I'm just
what
saying,
you-
every little action and every little thing that had to come into place and fit perfectly in order for you to exist.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean,
That's pretty cool to think about too.
so another thing that's crazy is that you, and by the way, you are all of you. You're not just the thinker. Your brain extends everywhere in every inch and every little cell of you. You are everything. I thought I muted this. I did mute this. Huh. Strange. You are all of you. Even if I take a little piece of skin, even if I pull a hair off of you, that's still you. Sorry, guys. I can't mute this. Actually, I can go like this. Okay. So even if I pull a hair off of you, that's still you. And if I keep pulling hairs off of you and I keep taking away skin cells, you're going to say, I'm still here. I'm still me. And this is what is funny about some biologists is they want to find the you, the thinker. So they start dissecting things and they start pulling you apart. They take you apart. Oh, no, that's not you. They take it apart, take you apart. They start getting to your brain because, like, that's the thinker. So they start taking the brain apart. It's like, where are you? And they start taking it apart, take it apart, take it apart. And then they're like, oh my God, wait a minute. I lost you.
Yeah.
Like, where'd you go?
Yeah.
So you are not just the thinker inside the brain. You are all of you.
Oh, absolutely.
If I cut off your finger, that's you. It's not a machine that is that you
missing an appendage.
That's now missing an appendage.
You're missing a part of
you.
And that is why you can still feel these phantom feelings. Like there's people with amputees and amputations, and they feel their toes when their toes aren't there.
Well, also it's because the nerves reach the toes.
Part of their being
yeah,
is connected here, but even your toes, the nerves in your toes are connected to other parts of your body as well.
Mm-hmm. So if I touch a certain place in my leg right here, I can touch the nerve that is the key to my toe. Yeah. Just like, I can go up farther and just touch a piece in my brain, and that's going to be my toe.
Essentially,
feeling.
Yeah.
So when I say, or when people say, why do you do it all? Like you asked me, right? I say, because I am the universe. You are the universe too. We are the universe now able to speak to each other after an eternity of non-existence. Now we have said, we opened our eyes that we evolved to have, and now, only now, have we opened our eyes and said, I am the universe now conversing with myself about our new existence that is only going to last for a brief amount of time, and how should we spend it? How should I spend it? I, as being me and you and the entire existence of everything.
It's a difficult question when you put it like that.
I really don't think it is. Here, I'll answer for you.
Well, how should you spend it?
Yes, I'll answer for you.
You can only answer
I already answered it, actually.
In general.
No. It's simple, and it makes life quite easy and fun. It's really not as complicated as people try to make it out to be. All these huge seminars saying, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you'll be okay. Don't cry. Fight, fight, fight. Be the dictator of your own body. It's like, this is stupid. Don't do this. Not everyone's like, what's that guy's name who runs forever and never stops?
Oh my gosh.
Runs until his feet fall.
David Goggins?
David Goggins.
Oh,
Not
man.
everybody is a David Goggins who can totally become the dictator and make their body the slave.
Right.
People do that all the time and fail all the time. I've tried to do that and I failed. Instead, I've learned to negotiate with myself, and it works out a lot better. And I think most everybody is like that. If you become the dictator of your body, making your body the slave, you'll live a miserable life because you'll always fail. Goggin fails all the time. He fails because he never can run far enough.
It's true.
Yeah, he tortures himself, and it's terrible for his body. Like have you seen his feet?
Yeah.
Pictures of his feet?
Yeah, his feet are
runs until his
nasty.
feet are going to fall off.
Yeah.
He is literally forcing his body as a submissive slave to do the commands of what he dictates.
It's great for his mind if he lived in a survival world where we were constantly running from
only a short amount of time.
If we were constantly running from some saber-toothed tiger or something.
What he hasn't learned.
But he hasn't learned how to negotiate and use the symptoms of his body that are talking to him constantly, to
pleading is a better word, I would say.
Stop!
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't actually agree with people that. I mean, it's great in one sense, but in another, you actually are sacrificing the entire rest of your life.
Well, here's another way to put it.
To pursue one thing, which is great. You're pursuing one thing, and I think that's super important to have this niche you pursue. But in essence, you are sacrificing your health and your body, which is you,
And maybe you're
destroying part of you
yeah.
to what? Prove a point?
Prove to your own mind that you are in control of the slave.
Which it eventually
Eventually
your body's
the
going
slave,
to backtrack.
and the slave will win.
The slave's going to win.
The dictator,
the body will win.
The dictator can't exist without the slave.
Exactly.
So yin and yang, man.
And the more you break down, the faster that's going to happen.
Exactly. So that's what I think is one of the most important lessons anyone could give is learn how to not be the dictator of your own existence. And also realize that you are everything that you experience, everything that you see. If everything that has ever existed has in the past has led to the point of your existence today in some shape or form. Everything, like even the thing that you think is non-existent, like we think the air is usually non-existent, but the air is also you. I breathe. That's me. This is me. The air is me. Without the air, I can't exist.
That's disgusting. No, but you're absolutely right. So without parts of you,
without the chair
you are
that
no longer you.
Exactly. Without the chair I sit in, I can't be. Without the world I stand on, I can't be. I am the world. I am the universe. Without the universe, I can't be. I am it. You are it. We are all it. It is all come to this point. And now, not very many people ask, but you should ask, what do we do to preserve my consciousness? And it might not be to build more rockets. It might not be to make more bombs.
A lot of those things are aimed at the opposite of preservation.
Exactly. But hold on. This is why.
But it's preserving a singular culture and group versus holistic mindset like you're talking about. And I think we identify ourselves a lot more readily as a singular solitary group or even individual than we do as the rest of our populace or the rest of existence. Yeah.
Yes. So what we have been doing and what we have evolved to do is perfect the art of living, or try to. We try to perfect the art of living, and something that has helped us live is to learn to kill. Over time, we have perfected the art of murder, of killing, of destroying other existences.
It's true.
And because in the beginning, if you did not know how to kill, you did not live very long, or
at all,
or you just ran away and you still lived, but whatever.
Depending on where you were at.
Here's the important thing. If you knew how to kill and you never did, you would live longer. Because if you did happen to in a situation,
about humans, you're not
I'm talking about everything.
Well,
anything and everything.
Okay, well, we could disagree on that.
Because one way that's easy to tell is like what we are is that we are a predator species, just like apes. You have front-facing eyes, which means you are aimed at your target. If you were not a predator, if you were more or less prey, you would have outward-facing eyes, so you could see more of a 360-degree angle. This is why deer, horses, they have eyes out here, because they're not fighters, per se. They're not hunters.
Right.
They're prey. We have front-facing eyes like cats, lions, and all these things that have front-facing eyes, dogs, who hunt, who aim at a target and pursue. That's why we have these eyes. And that's why it's so ingrained in our bones to want to conquer, because this is actually tapping into what we've been doing for millions and millions of years, is conquering, winning, killing. This is why so many people like to kill and don't really know why they like to kill. They're like, well, I just kill. That's why I killed all these. That's why I put all these species extinct. It's like, because I had to. It felt good. I don't know. It's like, this is why I joined war. This is why I did all these things. It's like, did you really want to kill that person? It's like, well, now that I think about it, I didn't want to murder somebody, but at the time I really did, because I got that thing, that primal thing inside me that was like, I need to do this. It's like I want that taste of blood in my mouth, metaphorically speaking. It's like I want to conquer. I want to be the winner. I want to crush the enemy. I want to pursue the prey, so to speak. And this is why we still fight today in cage matches, because you want to crush, you want to conquer. We've been doing this for thousands of years, and we've been killing for millions and millions of years, and we've perfected the art of killing. And now, since the perfection of things has made us believe that perfecting a thing can help us live, now we've tried to perfect every single thing in entire existences, and now we're creating more things and trying to perfect those. Here's another thing that people are trying to perfect that actually disgusts me.
I think that'll go on forever. That'll go on for existence.
Until you learn that perfecting a thing, like the atomic bomb, perfecting things isn't always the best outcome for things. And here's something, like I said, something that humanity is trying to perfect that makes me pretty sick. Humanity is trying to perfect the art of loving. And they've been doing this through biblical times, and they've been doing this even now when they say, you don't really love somebody unless you sign this piece of paper and you seal your life and say...
Are you talking about getting married?
Yeah.
Through the state?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with love.
Oh, well,
has
of course
nothing to do
not.
with love.
But they say it does.
No, they
It's
don't.
like, put this ring on your finger,
I think,
and show everyone how much you love you.
No, actually,
yes,
that's not true.
Yes,
so
it is.
That's nothing to do.
Tell that to a girl that you want to be with, and then she doesn't.
Marriage has nothing to do with
and,
love.
and she doesn't really care.
It has everything to do. Here's the thing. I think you're talking about a subject that you have
something.
a very difficult.
It's proving. That you love somebody to everyone else.
Coming from somebody who's been there.
It's a statistical thing.
No.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with love. Listen. Has everything to do with...
I know it doesn't.
Commitment. And that is different than love.
Okay, so...
So, it is.
Okay, so...
Trust me, and I know.
I hate to go here, then. If it's all about commitment, then why are so many people broken up? If it's all about commitment.
Because some people can't handle the commitment.
Mm-hmm. So why do you write a piece of paper and say that you will be, instead of saying...
Because it's easier with everything you do, Why do you think there are contracts for building a house with a contractor?
Look, man,
and you sign a contract?
I'm
because
not talking
it's
about that.
easier to walk away.
I'm not talking about
without
that.
a contract.
Here's the thing.
That's why.
Here's the thing.
It's harder to walk away with a contract.
Yeah, no shit. But if you love somebody, you
You
won't
shouldn't
walk away.
have to have... Well, that's not true.
Yes, it is true.
No, because there's times when you should work through an issue with that person, but if it's easier to walk away, you'll just walk away.
Look, man, if you really love somebody and both people really love each other...
Then you won't ever walk away? That's not true.
Exactly. Well, they won't ever walk away.
That's not true.
Well, unless they don't actually talk to each other and let people know.
There are times when people make mistakes.
Here's the thing.
There are times when people make mistakes, and there's a reason that contract can be broken, by the way, is because with enough reflection, you're like, this contract needs to be broken.
The contract
However, with
means
being
nothing.
married...
The contract means nothing.
It doesn't actually mean nothing.
It means nothing.
But it doesn't have any kind of value in and of itself. What it does is it is a representation of what we decided to do. If you say to yourself, I'm going to go work out and I'm going to keep this solid, I'm going to stick to this routine for 90 days, okay?
Well, first off, you shouldn't do that.
Well, listen, if you say you're going to do that
later
to yourself, oh yeah, I'm going to work out for 90 days or whatever, stick to this routine, blah, blah, blah. Then you've told nobody at this point. You're just going to tell yourself and you're just going to go do it. So let's say you're pretty good at it, but day 28, you're like, life's gotten super busy. You're not feeling good. You get sick, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You don't have anyone holding you accountable outside of yourself. It is very, very, very easy to drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will ever know.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. But however, if you went out Maybe you started a Facebook page, whatever you did, and you're like, hey, I'm going to work out for 90 days. I'm going to get this progressive routine, and I'm going to build on it, and we're going to do whatever, okay? And you let everyone know. Well, what happens if you drop out? Now you lose every bit of credibility, and people are going to think the next time you attempt something, you're not even serious about it. So you have this sense of follow through that is created through your community. And that is the only reason that piece of paper exists, is because it's a sense of accountability that holds you true when you might not feel like it. It can be broken.
Okay. Yeah.
But it holds you true when those times when you're just like, I'm not feeling it. Well, not feeling it doesn't matter. You have to have that reflection and that thought, and that's why it takes time to get a divorce.
Okay, tell me all the reasons why being married with a piece of paper that says in a archetypal sort of way why it is bad to seal yourself, to chain yourself, so to speak, to this person, instead of just saying, I will be with you forever and ever. And let's always be honest to each other, and let's, like, I love you, you are like a piece of me. If you believe this...
I can answer that.
Okay, well, hold on. Because if you actually, and I'm sure a piece of paper and being accountable to a community or someone else is helpful, but that just means that you haven't negotiated and talked with yourself enough that, because you won't have to. Like, why do you need someone else to tell you that you want to do something that you want to do? Because if you want to do something...
It's not telling yourself.
No,
it's not
is.
having somebody tell you.
See, look.
It's reminding what you already committed to do.
Right. But if you're not going to do it, then now you're becoming the slave.
No, so
you
you can agree to this. We all change. All the time.
Yeah.
We're consistently changing.
Uh-huh.
Our mindset, our values, our taste buds, everything morphs and changes through time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just because you say, I love you, I'm going to be committed to you for the rest of my life, 100%.
Oh, well, you're not just supposed to talk to the person once in your life and then...
but you change.
Yes. And
You
at
change.
that point, you shouldn't be together anymore.
So you're saying it's okay to go through life, be committed for somebody to a certain amount of time, and then when it doesn't work out, you just move on?
Look, when it gets to the point...
Is that what you're saying?
When it gets to the point when both of you are feeling like slaves to the master of this piece of paper, the paper is now the master, and now you are slaves bound to whatever this contract,
then
and
you
your
should
life
end
is
it.
miserable.
Then you should end it.
Exactly.
Okay, then.
The same thing applies if the paper doesn't exist.
Not true.
Yes, it does.
Not true.
Absolutely.
Okay, explain. Okay, listen to me. All right. As somebody who's been through this, I understand that actually holds you true, and there's a lot of value that comes from being committing yourself to being bound to that.
Why did you have to be held? You're not a kid.
No, I didn't.
You're
you're missing I think you missed the point.
No,
you're not. You don't have to be.
Exactly.
You don't have to be.
Exactly.
The point is, you want to be.
Yeah, you should want to be.
Because at some point.
But if you don't want to be, you don't want to be. Look, you can't lie to yourself.
Okay, it's not okay.
You can't lie to yourself,
It's not okay to give
dude.
up too soon.
Even if you don't want to be, and the paper says you
give
do,
up on every little thing that
you're not supposed to.
Listen,
you're not supposed to.
If you give up on
I'm not
every
saying,
little thing,
I'm not saying give
that you're
up
like,
on every
oh,
little thing.
I'm done. I don't feel like this. I'm done. I don't feel like this. I'm out. I don't feel like eating healthy today. I'm out. I don't feel like following through on my workout routine. I'm out. I don't feel like working my job. I'm out. You're going to be a failure for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Having something to hold you accountable when those times that you don't feel like it is super, super valuable.
How about your brain?
You
let me explain.
Rely on your brain because your brain's hindered by emotions.
Let me explain. You just ask yourself why you started in the first place. It's pretty simple.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And look, if you start lying to yourself,
It's difficult to ask. Okay, so what you're doing right now is you're removing emotion, which is fine if you want to have a logical conversation, but you're
No.
actually talking about an emotion, so you can't do that.
yes. So you were talking about working out or something. Okay,
You're
let's
talking
go
about
back.
love.
Let's go back to love.
Right.
Okay.
So what you're doing is just remind yourself about why you got married in the first place. Well, your emotions eliminate a lot of stuff. Even if you have a valid reason for being married in the first place, if you're mad and upset,
Yes.
your emotions will block your brain
Do you
from
really
remembering.
Do you really think a piece of paper is going to stop you from being mad and upset?
Of course not.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to.
Okay. And
It
if you're
doesn't.
mad and upset, then what are you going to do if you're mad and upset? Let's say there's somebody who pisses you off
Yeah.
just enough to get you to punch him in the face.
Okay.
Then you're going to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And you're not supposed to do that.
what's your point?
You're not supposed to punch the guy in the face.
Oh.
But you did.
I'm missing your point.
My point is that if you're trying to love somebody, aka not hit somebody in the face,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to love somebody, but you're not feeling the love, which means you're feeling like hitting somebody.
No, the piece of paper doesn't keep you from not hitting that person.
Exactly.
No.
Just like the piece of paper doesn't stop you from saying fuck you and then leaving.
It makes it way more difficult.
No, it doesn't.
It
It makes them resent the situation.
makes it way more difficult.
Exactly.
You
Makes it
just said, "No,
so
doesn't."
difficult that now you resent the person. And this is why you have prenups, because it's like,
No,
okay, well
that's not true.
now if we get a divorce, I really want to be careful because I know you're going to resent me even more.
Prenups are absolutely moronic. That's just basically saying, well, I'm planning to fail.
Yeah.
You're planning to fail
Yeah.
versus a marriage is you're planning to not fail.
So, okay.
So, getting married
This is a funny thing.
is planning to succeed, and a prenup is planning to fail on that plan.
Getting married is a contract that says this is sort of a thing that if you want to leave, I kind of can pull you back.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
you just described it this way.
No, it's not.
This is what you said.
All right. You want to go there?
Look,
I
let
was
me
married.
explain what
Guess
you said.
what?
Let me explain
and
what
when
you
they
said.
went in to leave, they left. And there's
Yeah.
no way I can pull them back. It is
Yeah.
not. No, marriage is not a means to pull them back into it.
It's you just
It
said.
is
Okay, look, this
a
is what you said.
reminder to yourself of what you committed to.
Which means
And helps you
nothing. If you want to
pause.
stop, then you'll stop. You can't lie to
Oh,
yourself.
well, absolutely. If you really want to stop, you're gonna stop, and that's why you can get a divorce.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so what's the point of even getting married?
It's a
like,
roadblock.
No.
It's a blockage in the path. It's a speed bump. It's to say, hey, hold on, hold up. Don't do something stupid.
Okay, here's
Don't
the thing.
ruin your good decisions. You might have a good thing going here. If you have 4 kids, you want to be a culture. So maybe you actually take some classes and learn how to be a decent human being, have some leadership skills, have some communication skills, learn how to work through conflict.
If you
right?
really love
If you
somebody,
don't
you'll
have
do
any-
that anyways.
No, you won't, Ben.
Absolutely you
no,
will.
those take skills.
Absolutely you will.
Those take skills.
I know.
And a lot of people aren't brought up with those skills today.
Of course not.
Okay,
But
then.
if
you
here's
have
the thing. Here's the thing.
No, listen.
If you want someone
really
to
love
exist,
somebody that much, you're going to try. You will try. Yes.
try what?
You will try to work through the issues. You'll try to communicate properly. But if you don't know how, you're going to fail.
Yeah, so you should ask for help.
But that doesn't mean everybody's going to.
Of course not. That's why so many marriages fail. That doesn't mean the piece of paper helps.
It does.
Nope.
Yes.
Did it help you?
Yeah. Many times. Many times.
And
And it wasn't my decision.
exactly, man.
You asked if it helped me.
Okay, well, it helped you, but it
Okay,
didn't
then.
help the situation.
It did.
Well,
Many times. And
well,
it just got to a point where it was a deciding factor. Okay, now she wanted to leave. Okay,
Right.
So great.
but look, it didn't stop
It's never gonna
the
stop.
inevitable.
Of course.
So here's
inedible is not a proper word.
no, it's not.
Okay, then.
So let me change it.
So what happens is it's not chains on your wrist like you described earlier. It's not handcuffs.
Yes,
No,
I would say
all it is,
like it,
it's
because you
weighted
can-
shoes that help you slow down if you're about to make a rash decision. If you really want, you can take those shoes off.
I don't know, man.
Of course you don't. You haven't been there.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Because
look, a
if
piece
you
of
ha-
paper is
it-
a piece of paper. If you get married to somebody,
I feel like you keep going back to the fact that it's a piece of paper. However,
It is
it's
a piece of
not
paper.
the piece of paper.
it's more than that. It's a promise.
It's
all this.
a process.
It's a process, yeah.
It's not just a piece of paper. It's a commitment. And I don't know why you
So
keep saying
here's
it's a
the
piece
thing.
of paper.
This is why a little while back you said, let's say marriage is a bit like getting a gym membership or whatever you said, something like that. 90-day routine, right? Something like that. And I'm going to commit to working out for 90 days. And you said if you don't have some sort of something to keep you committed, then you're more likely to fall back.
Totally.
Okay. So the reason I said this is not exactly wise to say, I'm going to do this every day until this. Instead, I think it's more wise to not chain yourself to this whole strict line of things. Sometimes people do that, but they live a little bit of a robotic life, I think. I would say if you want to get to this place and you know that these are the things you will have to do to get there, focus on the day, not tomorrow and the next 90 days, because this is going to freak you out. It's like why smokers keep smoking and never stop. It's because they say, I will never smoke again. And never is a very long time. But instead, if they say, I'm not going to smoke for the next 5 minutes, the next day, then we can get there. So if you say, we are committed for life, this is a bit like handcuffs. Of course, there's soft handcuffs, but you're still weighting your shoes. You're still, am I trapped? I don't know. Is this love? Should I be worried? Should I be happy? What's going on? Instead, how about you just love somebody?
So, if I'm honest, it's anytime I hear the argument you're presenting, not saying it's you, but anytime I hear the argument you're presenting from somebody, it typically stems from a resistance to commitment. And that's because they want to find a reason.
Do you think I am uncommitted?
In many areas, maybe.
Like what?
Oh, we don't need to go into that here, but it a lot of times when somebody comes up with a reason that they're like, oh, that's a bad idea, it's a horrible idea, marriage is a terrible thing, or whatever it is, a lot of times it stems from not wanting to take that risk of being committed.
Okay. And?
Well, there's a lot of happiness and joy that comes from being committed.
Right. And if you want to be committed, then you're going to want to be committed. If you don't, then you're going to feel chained and trapped.
Okay.
And you're going to start resenting
then people. I guess it all backtrack to your initial statement of you makes you sick when people get married.
No.
Makes you sick that people are trying to enforce getting married.
No. Here's what
It's kind of what it came off as.
Okay, so here's what it
and
is
if
supposed
that
to be.
Doesn't suit your boat, then just don't do it.
So here's
You don't have to disrespect and hate on other things that people have chosen to do.
This is what I said. I said it makes me a little bit sick to see people try to perfect the art of love, and through that, by trying to perfect it, they say that this is what you're supposed to do to perfect the art of love.
Let me ask you a question.
This is what's happening.
Would you agree or disagree that it is good for you to work through conflict?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Depends on what it is. And so a lot of times, absolutely not. So absolutely depends. Because look, if you
sounds like uncommitment.
If you are in an argument and you know you're right, but really the outcome is not going to lead either one of the parties any better off to exist, then you should stop your commitment.
I didn't say make them understand you're right. I said work through commitment or work through
Conflict is what you
conflicts.
said.
Yeah.
And I said, no, not all the time.
It's always beneficial to work through conflict. It is not beneficial to prove
Look, if the
you're
conflict
right.
if the conflict is going to lead to genocide, then no. If the conflict is going to lead to fighting constantly, or if the conflict is going to lead to you,
I did not say
conflict is gonna
proving a
lead-
point.
so this is
I said work through conflict. That
there's
doesn't mean
variations
prove
of
that
conflict.
you're right.
There's variations of conflict.
No, all
is what I'm saying.
conflict is conflict.
I know, but there's conflict that is good to pursue, and there's conflict that's not good to pursue.
No, all conflict is just a clash of ideals. That's all it is.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
It's
I'm saying
it's the way you go about. You're arguing the way you go about solving the conflict.
no.
I'm saying working through the conflict. I'm leaving the way you go about it up to discretion, but I'm saying working through it is good. Let's say, for instance, you said genocide, which you're referring to war or whatever, right?
Sure.
Okay. Let's say most wars have started over a woman or religion.
Okay.
Or land. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We can pretty much agree that going to war over those things is moronic and barbaric.
Not if we were them back then.
Well, I agree, but now it is looking back. I know that, but today,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, stupid. That's not the best way to solve that conflict, but there is a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Now, however, if we were able to come up with a way to work through that conflict, that is beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can agree. Working through conflict is beneficial.
Then yes.
Okay.
The
Now,
pursuit
working through
of
conflict.
that, then yeah. Okay.
Working through conflict is beneficial.
Yeah.
We learn and grow more as complex individuals by working through conflict than just turning around and walking away.
Sometimes working through conflict requires you to turn around and walk away.
Oh, absolutely it does. But you learned a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you still left.
At some point, sometimes you need to. And
Okay.
that's why she left.
Good. Okay. Now you said
But I'm saying that we as humans are lazy and adverse to pain and uncomfortable situations.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that when conflict happens, 9 times out of 10, we're going to just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Even if walking away isn't the best answer.
Okay.
I don't think I need to explain much more than that.
Look, I could say the same exact thing, and I don't need
We are averse to uncomfort,
right
to uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
And conflict. We don't like it. 9 times out of 10, we'll turn around and walk away.
Yeah. But look, that doesn't mean you're gonna leave forever.
Maybe you won't, but they're going to move on, even if you
Look,
don't want them to.
Just because, okay, so you're thinking of turning around, walking away forever versus turning around and cooling your head off.
We're talking about a marriage license.
Right.
So that,
And I'm
so
saying,
we are talking in terms of forever.
so yeah, so there's
and
two
in a marriage,
there's
you do
two
turn around
versions.
and cool off.
There's
So-
two versions of turning around and cooling off. One, you can turn around, even if you're married, you can just say, "Screw it, I'm out, bye."
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not married, you can be like, "Screw it, see you later,
It's a
bye."
lot of work, by the way.
Huh?
It's a lot of work, by the way.
Or you don't. You don't need to sign shit, and you can just leave.
Right. But what kind of trust and value does that give you? What gives the other person in you?
Hey man, it's the same trust and value that you reach when you break the marriage
So listen,
license.
I've witnessed this on both sides. So I've witnessed this with married couples, myself included, and I've witnessed this with couples who stay together with not being married for many, many years, right? The entire time, the couple that's together that is not married is together. Anytime they get into a serious argument, they freak out because they don't know if the other person is going to leave.
Well, this is just immaturity.
No.
No, yes, it is.
It's a
Yes, it
sense
is.
of insecurity.
It's a lack of communication.
If you are arguing with somebody, there's obviously a lack of communication.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there would not be an argument.
Exactly.
Okay. So during a tense situation,
Mm-hmm.
both parties don't know if the other person's going to just throw in the towel.
Well, then maybe you should ask.
It's-
Lack of communication, man.
It doesn't work
so
like
many.
that.
Yes, it
Ben.
does.
No,
so many
it
people
doesn't work like that because just
Listen,
because they
let me say
say,
some
"Oh
stuff.
yeah, I'm not gonna walk away,"
Let me
they
say
can
some
pack their
stuff.
bags and leave.
Let me say some stuff. All right.
Go for it.
So many people, marriage or not married, people don't talk about serious stuff. People,
Of course
people,
they don't.
People
There's
do not.
a lot of people.
People
that don't.
do not say. I don't know if there's really anybody. I mean, very few. Maybe like 1% of population. Ask questions like, just all the time. Just talk about like their life and where their state of mind is, where their state of mind is in the relationship. Talk about actual love and talk about how they actually feel and actually have a conversation about emotions.
A lot of
This
people don't do
doesn't
that.
even happen ever.
I know.
And they don't say, man, I still really want to stay with you forever. Forever. Right now, I want to stay with you forever.
Okay.
And I will always tell you if this wavers. No one ever brings it up. Like, no one brings up the fact that they could leave. This is why people leave so easily, is because they don't say, hey, look, I really feel like leaving you right now. People don't say that.
It's not
People
true,
just
actually.
leave.
No, it's not true.
People
That
don't
does
say
happen.
this. People don't say this.
I've had that happen.
People don't say, whenever we are in a disagreement, in an argument, let's actually let each other know where our state of mind is.
Actually, my ex and I communicated just like that.
Well,
It
something was missing.
It was definitely the most intense communication in our marriage that I thought could exist, because we talked about weird stuff like that. We actually communicated in ways like that. It was just
Maybe it was too much communication, as like it was being forced to communicate. Like if you're being forced to express everything, then you're still going to want to feel chained down.
No, Ben. It was because she just basically fell out of love. Didn't her values and plan for life.
Well, then nothing can stop that then.
I know.
A marriage, nothing.
I know. Once that point
Exactly.
is happened, you
Exactly.
can't stop it.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of immature people out there
Yeah. And what I am
that
saying,
need a bumper.
no, they don't need a bumper. Like, look, if you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, well, that's
look,
you.
if you
and
need-
I feel
look.
like you're very, very determined, and you have a great sense
here's the thing.
of commitment towards something. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Okay, great. You have a good sense of that.
Here's the thing.
That's how you feel. But there's a lot of people out there that are just going to go for something, and when stuff gets tough, when it gets rough and it's a hard time, they're going to bail out. That's why there's so many single moms out there, is because guys are like, it's too tough. I'm out. Gone.
Well, this is a lack of education in raising.
It's a lack of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when the going gets easy and there's an easy open door, it's easy to walk out. If it's a little bit more difficult, it makes you pause and think, and you work through stuff. Might not be the end all be all,
Well,
but
that
it
sucks
definitely
that
helps.
people need all that then. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I know you're right in to say
It does.
Look,
It sucks that people are immature, they're uneducated, and parents don't
let me-
raise people to be in a relationship and communicate.
let me
That
circle back
sucks.
to an area that you like, because I'm arguing that this shouldn't be the case.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I can agree.
But I do agree with you that it is better, and it is people will stay together longer if they have people, a whole church or whatever, a whole community saying, oh, you're together, you have a marriage license, blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely.
So yes, you will stay together longer, but you are at risk of becoming angry at the other person. If you want to leave and you feel like you can't because of the marriage certificate, you're going to feel chained.
Actually, the marriage does not stop you more.
I know.
Kids will stop you more than a
Oh,
marriage.
Absolutely.
Okay, then. So
But still,
people still
usually
leave.
marriage comes from kids or leads to kids. And if you start doing that,
You'd hope so.
then yeah. But what I'm saying is that it shouldn't be the case that people say you will love each other more and you will be more respected as a couple if you get married. You shouldn't be more respected. It shouldn't be. If you're together, then you're together. It's a promise that you make to each other. You shouldn't have to rely on other people saying, but are you married? But do you really love her? Like, how do you prove it? Prove it with your marriage certificate. This is what I'm saying. Now in our society, it's basically like people say, prove how much you love by getting married. That's what I'm saying. That makes me a little bit sick. Because people say, prove it. People say, you're not married yet. You don't really love. You still want to leave. That's not the case. That's what I'm arguing for. I'm saying it's not the case that you don't love somebody enough, and if you don't, then you won't get married.
Let me throw this out there, and I know we talked about this before, off camera, but we talked about perception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that this is where perception comes into play. Because the problem with perception is it is 100% outside of your control. And the other problem with perception is it is the only thing that matters to other people.
Their perception, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Their perception of you.
Yeah, and this is why you need to speak your mind.
In order to work through a culture, community, you need to be able to present yourself with the best perception that you can. The more you can eliminate questions, doubts, insecurities, lack of faith from people non-verbally, the more trust you instill into somebody instantaneously. Non-verbal is way more powerful than verbal. If you have to resort to verbal communication to try to eliminate a doubt, a fear, or whatever it is about their perception of you, you've already lost. And you have to work your ass off to try to gain that traction back. And this is one of the reasons that it is super valuable to wear a wedding ring when you're married or whatever it is because you're instantly giving the perception
the non-verbal.
That you're married. The non-verbal.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's a good point. It is a good point.
And if you have to tell somebody, oh, no, I'm married, then they're going to instantly question, wait, where are the nonverbal cues? Why are you giving off signals that you're single and you're open and you're free?
Well, you don't have to be, like I said, you don't have to say you're married to not be available.
Kind of.
You just say I'm not available.
That's like verbal. That's verbal.
Right. Nonverbal cues, yeah. No, that's a good point. Still, I don't like the fact of, what I said before, people assuming that you can't or you don't love somebody as much as somebody who is married.
I can see that. I definitely agree. And I know there's a lot of relationships out there that are way better off than married relationships.
Uh-huh.
I totally agree with that. But that's all to do with immaturity, lack of education, etc., and rash decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether or not being married makes you have a better relationship than not being married, personally, I think it does. As far as societally, I think that signing a piece of paper, wearing a ring and signing a piece of paper is completely separate. 100%. Wearing a ring is a verbal cue that you commit to each other and you're telling the rest of the world. Signing a piece of paper.
Nonverbal cue.
Yeah, nonverbal cue. Signing a piece of paper is more for the state because if you get divorced, they want to be able to know how to handle your property and whatever happens, your kids and etc., and how to tax it, really. And so that's where that
so
comes
basically
into play.
what that is
having a ceremony and wearing a ring, I absolutely 100% agree to. So, if you want to play into the whole house estate come into play, well, that's a bit different.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm saying, because the state is run by human beings. And so human beings are saying that it's better and you love somebody more, in a sense, if you sign this piece of paper and give it to us. So then we know that you love somebody and you know that you're a couple.
Again, I think you're kind of missing the point. I think signing that for the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
actual
It's
for the
for-
marriage. Let's take the
It's
marriage
for
ceremony and everything out of
property
it.
and all this. Yeah.
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 It's just so they can have a sense of control. That's it.
Right. Which is a little bit
The wedding
silly.
ceremony and wearing a wedding band or necklace or however your culture or whatever you do to represent that you are committed to somebody, I think that's 100% different and separate from signing a piece of paper that says you're married for the state in order for them to track and control. So I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just doing it for... Here's the thing. Yes, go get married, have fun, get the tax benefits, wear the nonverbal cue. Fantastic. I'm all for it. However, don't lie to yourself, because
absolutely.
if you rely on this to hold you up, this is kind of like my point here.
Don't use it as a crutch.
If you don't truly feel a certain way, love for a certain person, then you try to rely on the marriage to hold up your end of the bargain, the love, then this is a disaster, I think. It's set up for failure, because you can't lie to your own emotions. You can't. It's impossible. And if you do it for too long, then you're going to start to feel like the slave again. You're going to feel like you are trying to be controlled, and then you will reach a point where you're like, enough is enough, and then do something that you would regret as a better person.
It's true. It's true. Be faithful to yourself. Live true to yourself. And pursue happiness, because that will lead to the betterment of your society.
And if you don't know what happiness is, pursue the art of keeping the complicated and the uncomplicated more complex.
That was complicated.
Just a little bit. All right, that's a wrap, guys.
All righty.
Until next time.
Appreciate it, Ben.
Thanks for watching. All right. Yeah, thanks for coming, man. This has been fun.
Yeah,
fun trip.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Covered a lot of stuff.
I feel like we were a bunch of rabbits running around chasing in laser light, but
yeah. We'll have to do this again.
For sure.
Sweet.
Totally.
All right, I'll catch you guys later. All right. Another one in the books. Nice. What time is it? Oh man, that one lasts a long time. Well, 2 hours and 2.5 hours.